What is what is going on, guys? Welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you guys in today because this is a special card here, UFC 304. A little different than how we've been to England in the past. We've been to London at the O2 Arena. This week we're in Manchester. 2 English title participants, a ton of English flair on this pay-per-view card, chock to the gills, 14 fights to talk about, and Maddie and I will do just that here today. Of course, I've got to, before we begin, I am Austin Swaim. I'm with FanDuel Research. I've got to bring in the real star of the show, the man, the myth, the long shot legend who's going to cook up some interesting parlays as he always does. Matty Tanner. Matty, how you doing today? It is a special week, so I'm excited to break it down here on Thursday night.
Doing good, bro. I was just watching the press conference earlier. It was literally the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
How so?
Like so boring. Not like even Bobby Green and Patty were like blowing each other.
Oh,
no.
Like,
Dude, it's like there was no trash talk. Belal trying way too hard. Like Leon's not it just wasn't entertaining at all,
Yeah.
I thought at least like Bobby and Patty would go back and forth a little. It sucks like Manel Cop wasn't, there. Like, I don't know. It was just really bad. But I think the actual fights themselves are good fights. I just think the personalities on the card aren't great personalities. So
Yeah, it's weird. We had a few of these that looked like they could spill over. Belal Muhammad seems to hate Leon Edwards' guts, and that's what you said. He's going over the top with that. But like,
I don't think he actually does, though. I think it's all.
Yeah.
I think he's trying to hate him.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, who knows? Those two have been going at each other on social media for a long, long time. We will have grudge matches settled. Also, Tom Aspinall, Curtis Blades in the injury-laden heavyweight rematch. Again, the Aspinall knee injury last time those guys matched up. So the fun stuff to come at the end of the card, of course, as always, Maddie and I dive in here. We go through probably with a prop focus lens, I'd say, like less so than picking fights and money lines. But we'll throw a little bit of that in as well. 14 fights on this card. And the first one is to our right between these ladies at women's strawweight that some of you more casual fans may have never heard of. And I totally understand why, because this is about as low level as it gets at 115. Shauna Bannon still searching for her UFC win. And now she's had a few last minute opponent shuffles per usual in modern UFC. Alice Ardeline coming in on the other side here actually might be a larger celebrity. We'll talk a little bit about Ardeline and her interesting profile. But Maddie, first fight up at women's 115, probably not going nuts here, but who do you like to win? Or I guess what's your lean in this fight if you have one?
Honestly, is the one fight I probably haven't spent any time on yet this week. So I'll defer to you here.
Yeah, so in this fight, I actually like Ardeline. Now, I will say, and I double checked, I don't know what it is about the first fight of the slide of the fight. We always seem to get the odds wrong on this one, but then they're perfect the rest of the way through. We had a data transfer error in this one. Right now, Bannon minus 170, Alice Ardeline plus 138. So definitely, I think in this sort of environment, it's dog or pass kind of by default as you're stepping around. But I kind of like Alice Ardeline here. Like when you flip on the tape, and I'm no tape expert, but the first word that came to my mind was mean. She's just kind of mean for women's strawweight when a lot of these fighters are point fighters. Half of the UFC roster, they're almost trying to boost their OnlyFans more than develop a mixed martial arts career, right? Like it's hard in this level of women's 115. But Shauna Bannon in her debut did not put a lot of good points out there against Bruna Brazil, who I don't necessarily love as a prospect. 37% striking accuracy, well below the UFC average, 37% striking defense, well below the UFC average, got taken down on 2 or 3 attempts and controlled quite a bit. We've seen Ardeline mix in takedowns on her regional footage, and like she's willing to brawl, and I think that is a nightmare for Bannon, who's much more of a stylistical kickboxer. I actually am going to fire at Ardeline here. I'm kind of waiting for the number to stabilize because it's kind of floated in this area. Ardeline by decision, I think, is always on the table at women's strawweight. Like, I did not expect to bet this fight because it is super low level, but I just think this should be way closer to a pick.
Ardeline fought Wei Lee, didn't she?
She did. So I think she also got submitted by Diana Belbita. So the regional competition for her is actually a little bit better than it is for Bannon. Now those fights were awful. But like,
yeah,
I mean, like, value is value. I bet value, I bet lines, and I looked at this, and I don't really know why Bannon's favored, other than she's the UK fighter here. Ardeline comes in on short notice, but like, you look at her overall record, it's not impressive, but she's won 5 in a row. Like, these women will make huge gaps and leaps, and she's definitely a regional fighter. I think Bannon is too. It's like, I don't have to deploy here, but I do see value at plus 138 as it's coming back now. So I'll continue to watch it. Like, we got a joke in chat. Did I spend footage on OnlyFans. Number one, I'm engaged, so that would probably end very poorly for me. And number two, like I mean, like you can find depths of regional footage. The fun fact about Ardeline, actually, she has over 3 million TikTok followers. She actually is like does like
Wow.
she does like memes on TikTok, like reaction memes to like things that are sexual, and like does like a funny face after it. It's like it's a really funny bit. Like she's kind of an internet star.
I gotta
I
search. I gotta look now.
yeah, I mean, like, it's genuinely, like, funny content too, and it's like, I was just surprised. I tweeted earlier this week, I'm like, UFC signed the meme girl because I didn't think she was anywhere close to a UFC level fighter, but you kinda look at her resume compared to Bannon's, I'm like, I don't think she's really out of her depth here, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
I agree with you though, because like Bannon has like that taekwondo like point fighting style.
Yeah.
Like Arlene can kind of just brawl with her. I
Yeah,
like
super low volume.
I like your angle on this. I like the dog
It's
or
ugly, dude.
pass, maybe dog by decision model here.
Yeah,
I wonder
it's
what
ugly,
that's gonna
dude.
come in at here.
I gotta make sure not to absolutely tarnish the bankroll just because I like the number,
Plus
but
430, dog by decision, plus
love it.
430.
That's a quarter unit sprinkle
Jesus.
guaranteed, dude. That's a quarter unit
That's
sprinkle
ridiculous
guaranteed.
number. That's
Mhm.
a ridiculous number on this fight.
What if I told you though, like you look at her finishing trends, I think inside the distance could potentially be lied. I definitely still prefer points because of the short notice nature of this fight, but like she's a finisher, bro. I think she's finished her last 3 or
Yeah.
4.
Well, it makes
I
sense that the numbers like that. Yeah,
yeah.
she has 8 finishes in 14 fights. I mean, that's impressive.
Yeah. For women's strawweight, it is. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So, I
Mm.
mean, we'll see what she's got. You got to win this debut against Bannon, who was not very impressive in her debut. So we'll see what goes on with our TikTok meme friend.
And
But why don't we move on?
her
Yeah,
submission's shorter than the KO.
I think that's just because Bannon doesn't really have a grappling background. More like you said, more of a Muay Thai, low
Yeah.
volume striker. So that kind of checks out too there. And
Right.
I think we got a Dollar Tree Belbita comparison in chat. I think that's very accurate. I think Dollar Tree Belbita could be a good comp, but maybe that person does end up beating Shauna Bandit. It's kind of what we're dealing with. But Maddie, let's move
Right.
on. We've already spent probably way too much time on that fight. And to the
Yeah.
next one here really kind of starts this run of I think this card, and I saw your tweet is very interesting hypothesis. We have huge English favorites all over this card. This is a perfect example here with Mick Parkin coming back almost minus 300. You're saying if I bet $100 on every underdog, would I come out ahead or behind if I just bet them blindly? Here's one where I
Yeah.
think you got to accept or reject Mick Parkin's sample early on here. Training partner of Tom Aspinall, has won all 3 of his UFC fights. And now he's taking on a guy in Lucas Brzeski that I've historically backed and actually was able to cash with Walter Walker in his last fight. But not super high level heavyweight here. I think a lot of people like Parkin. Interested if you think the chalk might be warranted with Aspinall's buddy here.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at like Mick Parkin. I mean, I think he performed worse against Usman than who just fought Usman this past weekend.
Thomas Peterson. I agree with that take too.
I think Peterson looked better against Usman than Mick Parkin did, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
It was close. But I don't know. I mean, he's 5-0 or 4-0 in the UFC. I mean, this is a really low level matchup here. I just can't get out of my head when Lucas fought Waldo
Carl
Cortez
Williams.
Acosta, and he just
the
early round 1 finish was just, man.
It was ugly. It's so funny, dude, that you just pulled that fight because the fight I can't etch from my brain is when Carl Williams took him down a bunch. He actually dropped him in that fight, and Brzeski had absolutely nothing off of his back. And I think that's the concern here is you look at Brzeski, 36% takedown defense. Ugly when we saw Parkin go to his wrestling 3 takedowns against Kyle Machado. I think Mick has lay and pray upside at worst here, so I actually do think he's a pretty good money line pick, even though I'm not sure that like I feel great about an inside the distance finish. Brzeski, maybe not the best grappler in the world. We certainly saw him hang on for dear life against a guy in Walker that specializes in that. But Parkin's also competitive at distance, so he can mix his elements well here. Like Brzeski's been my guy. Like I backed him against Martin Budai. I shamelessly backed him against Waldo Cortez Acosta. How embarrassing is that bet in hindsight? And then I backed him against Walter Walker. I think this is the sell spot. I think you bail on him after the win last time, and Parkin's a pretty good English favorite here.
Yeah, I agree. But do you think Parkin can get him out of there?
He could. He certainly could. Like Carl Williams didn't really have the submission danger to know what that was going to be. Budai and Cortez Acosta don't really have that as well. I think parking by sub could be an interesting look if you're looking at the a specific finishing outcome. Parking sub 7 plus 750. Absolutely prefer that to KO. But I just don't think Mick's shown a lot of punching power at distance here. I prefer the sub if you're going to go finish, but I think decision's the most likely outcome here.
Yeah. I mean, Parker only has 1 sub, 5 KOs.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm with you. I think you go Parking by points is plus 120. I think that's what hits here.
I've got this fight 82.2% to go the distance. I forgot I was able to model this sample, so that's kind of what I'm feeling. Which is, it's not a bad number. It's not a horrible number. Could be worse for a 3-1 favorite.
Yeah. I'm with you.
All right, so we'll move forward kind of in consensus there. That's an easy fight to stylistically picture. This one, Maddie, I want to ask you about because this is exactly where I struggle here. A couple of guys that are maybe seconds into their UFC career. Sam Patterson knocked out in his debut. Quick sub in his second fight. Kiefer Crosby lost by quick sub in his first fight. This could be fireworks. Yeah. There are, I think, a lot of outcomes on the table here. We don't really know much about either guy, but Patterson's the English guy coming off the impressive win, has the UFC sample that's successful. He's minus 430. So now it's like, yeah, I'd favor him to win, but now we ask him about price, Maddie. I'm going to do just that. What do you think of this price, and what prop might stand out to you here?
Patterson round 1, maybe.
Yeah. What is it at on FanDuel if we have it already?
So round 1's plus 110, just to win in round 1.
Okay.
That's just a win in round 1. This card, I kind of want to do like a round 1 finish parlay. Like there's a few fights that I just love the number on round 1.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be easy to hit something like that, obviously, but yeah, I mean Patterson, 8-inch reach advantage. Minus 430, Jesus. Minus 450, up to minus 450 on FanDuel now. But yeah, I think early finish for him is on the table here. Let me see. So if you just take the submission in round 1 is 2-1.
Wow.
The KO is 6-1.
You know what's interesting is that I feel like the wiki capping strategy there, Patterson just won round 1 sub, Crosby just lost by round 1 sub, and it's 2-1. That is sketchy. That is very sketchy. Like I don't know if it's free or if it's sketchy. I have been thinking about this fight all week because Patterson is so big. Like I have no idea how he ever made up 155. Like he's bigger than Jalen Turner. And like even moving up in weight, Crosby, the more natural welterweight, he's fought here longer. He's at a size disadvantage. But we've also seen Patterson 49% striking defense, and he got chinned at 155. So my question is, like, does the chin hold up? Kiefer Crosby round 1 KO is 13-1. And I look at these numbers, like, I want to pick Sam Patterson. I think Patterson's going to end up winning a majority of the time. But I almost am kind of leaning Crosby at price, which makes me want to stay away from this fight because I think he's generally bad and he's generally a submission liability, which is why Patterson's minus 110. So I may end up passing on this fight altogether.
Yeah, I think I'm going to play the 2-1 round 1 sub prop. I mean, I know it feels trappy, but like even in Crosby's amateur days, round 1 armbar loss, round 1 armbar loss.
Yeah.
Round 2 guillotine choke. And then, again, he's been subbed in round 1 2 of his last 5 fights.
Yeah.
I don't know. He did KO Alex Oliveira.
Yeah, you're talking about Crosby? Yeah, I mean, like, I think that's the fear for me is they gave him Kevin Jousset, city kickboxing guy. I think it's because they thought he wasn't going to grapple, and he still got submitted. So we know Patterson on the Contender Series too, by the way, showed really nice submissions, good back takes, and he's got those long limbs that make it almost kind of like I could close my eyes and visualize this dude submitting Kiefer Crosby, and that's why it's hard for me to play Crosby even at 13-1, knowing the Patterson chin issues, and maybe they're rectified not cutting that much weight anymore. We don't really know until we get a bigger sample. So, Maddie, I think if you force me, gun to my head, to play one prop in this fight, I'm with you. I think I'd play round 1 sub plus 200, even though it feels a little sketchy.
It is, and then the over under 1.5 is minus 190.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. Crosby's getting kind of a glass cannon. Patterson, Patterson's defense is just really hard to watch. It's like his striking defense, dude, is getting clobbered constantly. I was all over Yanel Ashmouz in his debut. I don't really have a high prior of Crosby's striking, but he did do pretty well against Jusei. 66% striking accuracy, landed over 8 per minute. So if you took that over a larger sample, those would be really nice numbers. But in the end, he did end up getting taken down and submitted. So that's the grave concern.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Definitely some things to think about. Don't even have a 100% defined angle in that fight. But we'll move forward here to the next fight up on the card, which I didn't think we'd be talking about this fight here, man. I thought this guy was a main card fight for sure, kind of a title eliminator at flyweight, and they bumped it all the way here to not even the featured prelim, which scares the heck out of the betting angle I want to take here. We've actually seen this number move quite a bit today. Muhammad Mokaev, currently at this moment in time, if I can find it, sitting at minus 168, so he's taking on even more money in this battle against Manel Kape. Manel Kape has missed weight 3 times in UFC. I'm starting to get scared about the longevity of this fight, Matty. Let's assume it happens. Let's assume Kape makes weight. What do you think how these two match up as far as a stylistic matchup?
You know, it seems like Manel Kape's like everyone's favorite underdog this week. Like Gilbert and Moicano, love him.
Yeah.
The thing that concerns me about taking the dog here, I just feel like Manel Kape is like super emotional.
Yes.
And like, he's going to come out and try to kill Mokaev, whereas I feel like Mokaev is going to, you know, he just does what he needs to do to win fights. You know, like that's all he cares about. But at the same time, I saw this is like the last fight on his contract, and he wants to get a finish and try to fight for a belt eventually. So I don't know, but I just think Mokaev, I go back and forth on this one because it's hard not to like Manel Kape as a dog here. And I hate that the line keeps moving that direction towards, you know, making Mokaev a bigger favorite. But I think his wrestling is just going to be the difference in this fight. It's going to be like a back and forth scrap that he just edges out like 2 rounds to 1 is kind of how I see it going. And on my podcast on Monday when I filmed it, I was on the Manel Kape side, and I keep just looking at this fight, and I just keep it feels like a trap underdog to me.
Yeah, I'm very concerned that it's moving so quickly given Kape's weight history and things like that. Now, my model's totally blind to that stuff. I actually have Kape the tiniest favorite, 50.5%. So, like, you know, I'm not afraid of line movement. And I'm probably going to end up bowing in here around plus 140 or so just because I think I have to. Prop I'm showing the most value on Kape by knockout is plus 480. I've got it... do some math, plus 250. So I think if Kape is going to win, it's pretty good value. But the thing about these Dagestani guys like Mokaev, they're hard to knock out because they've just practiced their wrestling sequences over and over and over again. Like they know how to keep their head off the center line, stay out of danger. You know, maybe almost wonder if it's like a flying knee or something like that Kape would have to land to knock him out here. But like we've seen judges favor striking over grappling. We kind of know how that dynamic's going to play out in this fight. And I think I'm with you, dude. I think it all comes down to Mokaev's wrestling. 77% takedown defense for Kape. Can he stay on his feet? If he can, I think he wins going away. If he can't, Mokaev probably does. So interesting line movement, but I do not blame a Mokaev backer here whatsoever. What you're saying is Kape's wrestling defense is overrated to this point, which looking at his level of competition, not a horrible thesis. I'm not in love with Manel Kape, but I do see him as the value side here.
I also think if Kape is emotional and reckless, he could fall into some sort of trap here and get subbed.
Exactly.
I mean, you know, that's a good comment in the chat. Kai have never been KO'd. Kape has been subbed twice. Yeah, I mean, Mokaev, I think, needs a finish to like put on a performance here. You know, like he wasn't able to, you know, progress towards a fight for the belt because, you know, he just leaves a lot left to be desired from a entertainment perspective. And like, you know, the Alex Perez fight decision, you know, and then even in some of his other fights, like he's, you know, guys are having success against him early, like Tim Elliott and Theo and Malcolm Gordon. Like he should have put away Malcolm Gordon way before round 3.
Yeah. Right.
The Charles Johnson fight, 12 takedowns.
Yeah.
You know, that's just crazy. So I don't know. I think if Mokaev wants takedowns, I think he can get them. Not sure what happens after that. But I do think he can get the takedowns. Again, I was on Manel Cup just a couple of days ago. I don't really have an official play here as of today. I'm not really sure what I'm doing with this fight. I do want to see what Makayev's sub prop is.
Yeah. Do you know the last
Plus
guy?
450. Plus 450 is a big number for him.
Isn't it kind of weird? You could play Makayev sub plus 450 or Cop KO plus 480. Like that feels
So
like
basically the fight's going the distance.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what odds makers say. Now on that verdict, I've got the fight actually not going the distance 55.5% of the time, which was interesting to me because Makayev doesn't have like this record of quick finishes. Now he's got a lot of round 3 finishes, more of a melter than
Yeah.
like a hot starter.
He has 3 of them. Or no, he has 3 of them in the UFC. He has 4 out of his 6 fights in the UFC have been by submission.
Yeah,
And 3 of those 4 fights have been in round 3. That's pretty crazy.
I think Kop's defensive jiu-jitsu is pretty good. I think it's what makes this fight so interesting. By the way, the last guy to sub Manel Kop, Kyoji Horiguchi, guy who floated around UFC, Risen, Bellator, like veteran of the game. So high level opponent like this, and Kop, went there with Nicolau. I think he fought Pantoja. Did he not? Am I remembering that? He did.
Yeah,
he fought
he lost the
Pantoja in his
decision
debut.
2021.
And I thought Kopp was a huge letdown as a prospect because we didn't really know what Pantoja was at that point. But I think this fight's
you know what Gilbert said on the pod is he was like, bro, I saw Manel Kopp have no fear right next to Israel Adesanya. He's like, this dude is a dog. Like he don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I like his mentality, bro. Again, he's when you bet on underdogs, you want like absolute dogs that are gonna like fight for your money.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying don't bet on Manel Kopp. Anyone out there that is sold on Manel Kopp, take the dog money here. But I just do feel that trap underdog. I have that weird vibe to this fight where it's just like Makayev. I mean, look at this dude's 11-0. Like a lot of his fights are questionable, but he's finished 4 of his last 6 guys. Like, say what you want about the dude, but he wins these fights. So I just think it's a tough fight to predict.
It is, and the line has made it so much more so. I think I'm going to end up taking the plunge on Kopp, but I can't wait to see how this one plays out. And like, I think you could argue a lot of people probably have these guys as 2 of the 4 top flyweights in the world. So like, this is a championship level fight buried on the early prelim. So we'll move forward because we have so many of these good fights to talk about. Let's pay some mind to them. Curious, Matty, your thoughts on this next one here at welterweight. It looks like it's closed a little bit, and now that's going to make it even harder for me to bet. Actually, it opened back up. So Preston Parsons currently sitting live minus 166 on FanDuel, was minus 150 earlier today. And now taking on Oban Elliott. Elliott, the UK rep here, but Parsons is a guy we've actually seen win in UFC against like a decent competitor. That is, Val Woodburn was Oban Elliott's first win. We don't know really what we get with Val Woodburn after his first 2 results. So a lot of unknowns in this one, Matty. How you leaning with Parsons laying a little bit of chalk here?
Yeah, I mean, so Parsons got KO'd by D-Rod back in 2021, but I think his 3 performances since then have been pretty good performances.
Right.
Evan Elder is a guy I think very highly of. He was able to win a unanimous decision there. Trevin Giles, it was a split decision loss that could have gone either way. And then the Semmelsberger win was pretty dominant. It was a unanimous decision, 7 takedowns to his 1 takedown, outstruck him 47-28. And then you look at Elliott, like he fought Val Woodburn in his last fight.
Yeah, total domination.
Yeah. So agreed there. But I just think the level of competition has been, very minimal there. And then Elliott has Parsons has 9 submissions. There's so many fights every fucking week. I like all these submission props, and it's the worst bet in MMA.
I was going to say, reminder that just 19.1% of fights end by submission. So it's.
I know. It's literally the worst bet, dude. How many fights last week did I just barely lose a submission prop on?
There were a lot of close ones.
What was the Fight and Nerds guy last week?
Gosh. Kraszewski?
Yeah. So he had like 2 ninja chokes, 2 guillotines, like locked in, like absolutely locked in. Then a couple weeks ago, Petrosky round 1-2 sub, arm bars, arm triangles, and then this past week, what was the arm triangle that was like completely locked in early on the card? Which fight was that?
Early on the card last week. Now I was in and out of last week's card, so I'm
Yeah,
trying to figure this out in real time with you.
I made a video on it. Oh, Trey Ogden.
Oh,
So I
that's
had,
right. He did have the arm
bro, I
chokes.
had Trey Ogden round 2 submission at 18-1. He has an arm triangle fully locked in, can't get off to the side. Like this dude is on his back, like almost nothing left. Can't get the submission.
Mhm.
It's just every week, dude. But I mean, the numbers are there. You look at if Trey Ogden is in his favorite position, with that arm
Mhm.
triangle, and you're getting 18-1 on the round. Like, what more can you do?
Mhm.
But it's just every week these submissions, just the numbers are so good, and they just
Mhm.
look like great bets. And then these guys get so close to finishing them, and it's not even one. It's like 2, 3, 4 attempts. It's just unbelievable.
Need I remind you, John Matsumoto though pulled a sub out of his ass to cash that one parlay for you. So sometimes, I mean,
Hey,
sometimes, yeah,
that cashed me 45K. That cashed me 45K, bro.
That's what I'm saying. I
But
mean, like it just
that was
comes and
months
goes.
ago. That was months ago. It doesn't matter what happened in the past. I have to win this weekend.
So, do you like? So you're looking at Parsons' sub number is interesting. That is, I have a hard time placing like parameters around what Oban Elliott does well. He's just kind of like he's like a bulldog in there where he's very aggressive with his wrestling and grappling. I feel great about both of these guys' cardio where I think they weaponize it against other guys. I feel like it's kind of a wash in this fight where both of them really
Yeah.
specialize in that. The knockout against D-Rod is interesting. Parsons just a 51% striking defense. That's 10 percentage points lower than Oban Elliott. I still don't know if Oban ends up winning this fight, how it would look. KO, sub, or decision otherwise. I think if you like him in this fight, his money line at plus 130 as it sits right now as FanDuel is a good bargain. That's kind of the side I would lean of the two without a strong verdict. Again, this is another fight where small samples. I don't even have like eyeball takes where I feel good about placing these guys. I feel like Parsons is a good chain wrestler, but Semmelsberger has awful takedown defense. It's 45%. We've seen it against other guys. Elliott so far hasn't defended a takedown in his UFC affiliated samples. So how's he going to defend takedowns in this fight? I have no idea. So
Yeah.
who knows? I mean, I will say hard when you look up and down and the underdogs on the card that might win, hard to kind of deny the UK guy getting plus 130 in a fight where we don't. I just like Elliott in general. He kind of he says Chael Sonnen is the GOAT, which is kind of like, that's what you get in his press conferences as well. Like, I like his personality. I'm trying to not let that influence me because Parsons is a little more quiet, mild mannered. It's a tough fight. Parsons looks good analytically, especially in his wrestling stuff. So I think this line's pretty appropriate.
Yeah, I agree. I think Parsons submission decision double chance is minus 120. If you want to lower that juice down a little bit, I think is a decent play. Or if you want to take a shot of the dog here, Elliott's up to plus 132 right now on the money line.
Yeah, now I will say trepidation with that, why I might take the money line. Elliott has been dropped in both of his UFC affiliated fights. If he wasn't dropped on the Contender Series, he was nearly finished. Yeah, so it's like, I mean, you go back and watch it. It's the chin can be a little concerning. I think that's why this Parsons matchup is so interesting because we haven't seen a lot of punching power from him. Both of these guys are kind of like tweeners. Like they're not 170 like on an elite size scale. They're not 155. They're like that tweener that you get sometimes there. So it'll be interesting to see them go up against each other. But any last notes before we move on here?
Let's move on.
Vamos. All right. So now we're gonna go to this one.
Oh man, I love this fight. I love this fight.
I love this fight too. God, I hope you don't disagree with me because this was the very first fight I bet all week. Model pointed it out right away to me. We've been on a heater, by the way, with this. Cash Luano, Carolina last week. John Silva the week before. Also had
Carolina was the most ridiculous line. I never understood that.
I appreciate the film bros loving Putilova. I guess Carolina's combinations aren't pretty enough, but we'll take it. I love this fight, Maddie. You said you love it too. So Modestas Bukauskas, Marcin Prachnio at heavyweight. New haircut it looks like for Prachnio as well, so that's kind of interesting. But what you thinking in this fight, buddy?
Dude, I love Prachnio. I don't think he should be the underdog, bro. I do not think he should be the underdog in this fight.
Let's
I
go.
think he's underrated and Bukauskas is overrated. I think Prochnial, dude, he's solid, bro. Say what you want about him. Like, he's solid. He averages 5.6 strikes per minute. He's fought decent competition. Bukauskas, that KO loss to Petrino doesn't age that well.
Yeah.
Right. Before that loss, he had beat Paga and Pedro. I don't know.
The Pedro fight was ugly. He got a couple.
He can get knocked out too. What was Prochnial? I was chasing a big. I think it was like a round 2-3 or like a knockout prop.
Oh, dude, you had round 2-3 KO against Devin Clark, didn't you? And he was.
Thank you. Yes,
out of
and
Clark.
he was right there. He almost had that.
Yeah.
Devin Clark's not the easiest guy to put away. He's a big dude.
Yes.
But Prochnial, he can put people away.
Yeah.
Like, he can get it done. I think he wins this. I think this could be a 30-27 here, or a late, maybe the leg kicks add up, or he puts them away, maybe like late in round 2 or early round 3. Yeah. But I don't understand why he's the underdog here, so I'm hoping this isn't a trap.
Yeah, dude. No, and okay, so I think there is money on the other side. Like, Clint likes Bukauskas this week. Clint McLean, by the way, plug Home of Fight program. That's the Die Hard MMA podcast. Clint does a great job with that every week. He likes Bukauskas in this fight. My model's got Prachnio at -150, and I look through everything. I don't get it. Now, this is a striking match, and you never love taking the guy 4 inches with a deficit, but the efficiency here, even if you account for any sort of reach advantage, is not even close. Marcin Prachnio, striking success rate, which I haven't explained on here in a while. A lot of people call it significant striking differential per minute or whatever it is. I started calling it that years ago, whatever you want to call it. Prachnio plus 2.31, Bukauskas minus 0.59. It's just a huge gap in efficiency. Prachnio has plus marks, both striking and accuracy defense. And the thing about Mattybetss Bukauskas, no career knockdowns, so not a lot of power. No career takedowns, and we've seen Prachnio struggle with some of that. He got subbed by Vitor Petrino, but without a wrestling threat, without a power threat, I don't see how Prachnio loses this fight. And I love Prachnio by points here. I've got it at 44.7% likely. It's not as fun as a round 2-3 KO, Maddie, but I think this fight goes the distance a majority of the time. I've got it 82.6%, but loved Prachnio's money line here more than that, because then I do encompass the late round KO, which honestly I think he's going to be so far ahead is not a horrible look in this fight. Maybe you run it back, Matty. I think Prachnio's going to be so ahead.
I agree with you. I like the money line play, but let's take a look here because so let's see I want to see the round 2-3. Oh my god, dude. Prachnio round 2 KOs 15-1, round 3 is 21-1.
Round 2 and 3, yeah. Now Prachnio with just a 0.2% knockdown rate. It's one of the lowest at light heavyweight, minimum 5 fights, so not a ton of power. So I think it would be a mounting KO, Maddie. This is a definite 2-3 spot if you're going to target that.
Yeah,
it's not a one. His only
11,
career knockdown.
He has 11 knockouts. He's 11 KOs in 24 fights. Not terrible.
Just one in UFC, and it was against Ike Villanueva.
Yeah.
So be careful.
Right. But again, he beat Khalil Roundtree. It's hard to put him away. The William Knight fight was just one of those weird ones. And then Devin Clark, he was close.
Yeah.
And then Petrino kind of just overpowered him on the ground.
Yes.
I was at that fight live, and I needed it to hit the distance, or Petrino that was just a horrible outcome for me. Was the sub.
By the way, Maddie, that Felipe Lins loss for Prachnio, probably a win in modern scoring criteria where they've been favoring striking more. He had the positive differential. Lins had more cage control time, but Prachnio might have got the decision if that fight happened today.
Right. Yeah.
We like him here. Sounds like we got a parlay piece, dude. That's what it sounds like to me. And I
like him.
Yeah.
There's a lot of dogs. There's a lot of dogs on this card. That's for sure.
Yeah, I was surprised at the amount of dogs, especially in the short dog range that I liked, because you thought you'd just get all these overwhelming English favorites. So glad to hear that you like Prachnio. Whew, that was one I was
talking about by KOs plus 420.
Yeah, points is plus 320. I definitely prefer the decision when the number's pretty close.
Yeah.
It's just such a good number. Why is he a dog in this fight? I think we're sleeping it. You know why? Yeah, I think it is. Prasino's just kind of frumpy looking. He's not super. This dude's the Baltic Gladiator on the other side. He's tall. He's ripped. He's like everything you want a UFC light heavyweight to look like. Prasino's kind of frumpy. But that's okay. We like frumpy as long as they're efficient on the stat sheet. We'll take him as my model likes him. So why don't we move forward here? Don't want to spend too much time on the prelims here. Matty, curious for your thoughts in this fight. This is a late notice fight. Major Cage Warriors main event vibes here with Cowlin Loughran taking on Jake Hadley, Ireland versus England. Hadley stepping in, normally fights at 125. He'll battle Loughran at 135, yet still hold a 2-inch reach advantage. We just saw Jake back in St. Louis taking on Charles Johnson, kind of a close fight. Cowlin Loughran dominated Angel Pacheco earlier this year as well. So, Matty, Loughran minus 220. What are you thinking in this fight?
I just think Hadley's too small, and he doesn't really. I don't think he really has the ability to put this guy away.
Yeah,
like I feel like his one, maybe he can utilize his speed and stay on the outside, maybe try to win a decision, but I don't know. I don't really like this for him. I don't know why he's taking this fight here.
right.
I think he's just going to get wet blanketed on kind of.
I think it's a good take, Matty. I already bet Jake Hadley, and I still think it's a good take because I think there is a chance 35% takedown defense. That's at flyweight. He just gets wet blanketed. Like he can't. He's just simply too small. Can't keep Cowlin Loughran off him. But I kind of feel like Hadley's the more skilled striker here. I feel like he's got a jiu-jitsu advantage. So like I feel like there are things working in his way. And I guess I got a bad number because I put it in plus 170, plus 180. It was not a big bet. It was just one unit. But I don't trust Loughran quite yet. I feel like his striking is kind of incomplete. He's been very inaccurate so far, landing just 47%. And like that's against Angel Pacheco, who's a guy that I think was way overwhelmed. And in my opinion, I feel like unranked flyweight now is almost better than unranked bantamweight. And when Loughran went up against Taylor Lapilus, he didn't get finished in that fight, but it was definitely lopsided, way different size equation there. So, I think Hadley could get laid on here, and then my bet ends up being a negligible outcome. But I do think Jake has really interesting jiu-jitsu. I think he is the better striker. I took a plunge at plus 170, Matty, but I'm not feeling strong enough to talk you off any sort of position you feel here.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm probably not going to touch this fight, truthfully. Hadley by decision isn't a terrible number, though, plus 370.
Yeah. I was surprised with Hadley's hands in that Charles Johnson fight. By the way, how well is that Charles Johnson fight aged after he just took out Josh Van and really a competitive fight throughout? And true. Van was the next big thing as far as a striker at flyweight, and Johnson took him out. Hadley seemed to be right there with him for most of the fight.
And he also was seconds away from submitting Cody Durden too.
Yep. That Durden submission, that career looks very different for him if he got the Johnson nod and if he submitted Durden in that spot. So I just felt he's maybe a touch undervalued as the more experienced guy. Now, his wins are garbage. Mitch Raposo, the guy that barely did anything in his debut a couple of weeks ago, Carlos Candelario, Malcolm Gordon. I hate doing this where I buy too high on guys that are still losing. It may be another one here. The weight might be too much to overcome, but like Loughran if there's a big UK favorite that feels a little heavy to me, it's Loughran at minus 225.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm staying away from it. So
yep. I think that's totally fine as a call, but we'll bump forward. We don't want to keep these people forever. I actually kind of like this fight from a betting perspective too. Molly McCann taking on Bruna Brazil here. This back at strawweight, Molly's second fight at 115 pounds. Death taxes in a Molly squash match in England. Like it feels like this is a decent favor for her. I'm curious, Matty, if you are among the MMA community that thinks there might be some value in a big Brazil number here, or if you think Meatball might roll here in her home city.
No, I think the UFC just keeps feeding Molly winnable fights now here. Like, at 115 too, these fights that Bruno Brazil, bro, like, I don't know.
So
I'm just trying to figure out the best way to play Molly. Like, what's the best way to play Molly here is like my question.
Can I tell you? I think it's inside the distance plus 165, bro. It feels like
Yeah.
such a good number when I think she's going to be ahead at distance. We just saw a submission in her last fight of Belbita. Brazil, definitely more of a kickboxer than a grappling background. Like, I don't know how Brazil competes in either realm in this fight because she's been inefficient at distance against worse competition. And now all of a sudden, she's got to defend Molly's takedowns. Molly's had decent takedown submission game, even at flyweight, and a 53% takedown defense. So that's poor. I don't know how she kind of competes. I think eventually Molly does find a finish. Each of Molly's last 4 fights in England, by the way, have not gone the distance. She's kind of one of those Jillian Robertson exceptions, where she is a bit of a finisher in these divisions. Don't think she's over the hill. I would be worried, like I was with Stolyarenko, where I had someone with submission danger. I just don't think that's Bruna Brazil. And Molly might be a real problem at 115, by the way, because she now, like, forever she had a huge reach disadvantage to overcome. Now it's just 3 inches, like 5'4". She's probably too small for flyweight. Now at 115, I think she's appropriately live. Like I feel like plus 165 is a good package when she's just so much better.
Can I sell you on a 32-1 parlay?
Yeah, what you got? What you got?
I know we're not at the end of the show yet, but what are the chances that Molly and Patty both win in round 1?
I mean, we're gonna talk about Patty. Like, I don't hate Molly round 1 here. I feel like if you matched up Bruno Brazil and Diana Belbita, I'd probably take Belbita. So a little weird
Yeah.
that, like, I mean, could I see her getting her out of there in the first? Sure. Maybe
Yeah.
Maddie.
I mean,
Maybe
bro,
that is our cheeky. Maybe that's our cheeky fun parlay this week.
I know
love that.
we're not up to the Patty fight yet, but
Yeah.
Bobby Green has been hurt in round 1 in so many of his fights. And
Yes.
Patty, like, say what you want about Patty, but he's aggressive early.
Yes.
And I don't know, I got weird vibes from Bobby Green at the press conference too. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. He's taken a lot of damage the past few years, and Patty
Yeah.
does swing and hit hard. Bobby's the better boxer.
Don't
I'll wait.
spoil it for the
We're gonna
people.
get
Don't
into this,
spoil it for the people. We'll talk
but
about it
that's
later.
32-1. You take Patty and Patty and Molly to win in round 1. That's anyway round 1.
Yeah, that's nice because it's anyway, so you don't really have to worry about KO or submission for 32-1. It's
Yeah.
interesting, Maddie. You're always
the chat
cooking this
corrected
up.
me. It's King Green, not Bobby. My bad.
It's King Green now, which is, by the way, a red flag in itself. But sounds like we're
Yeah.
on the same page. Molly by dominance here, so we can move forward and touch on the featured prelim on this one. Nathaniel Wood taking on Daniel Pineda. Never love logging into my computer as we're about to boot up the show here and seeing that Hajive has faded my pick. He did so in this moments ago, by the way. Home of Fight Discord, if you want to spoil what Hajive is on. He's there. I've got my picks there. Maddie puts his picks out there. Clint McLean. All of us at the Home of Fight Discord, we have a link in every episode description that we do here. Nathaniel Wood minus 460, largest favorite on the card. Is still at this point a couple of guys vying for it, but largest favorite on the card, taking on Daniel the Pit Pineda. I'm not too happy with my son and proud man Nathaniel Wood. I really like Nathaniel Wood. He dropped the ball against Muhammad Makayev or Muhammad Naimov. I got my names mixed up there. And then Daniel Pineda coming off a decision loss, the very first of his career against Alex Caceres. So this is a loss coming off a loss on both sides. Violence usually in the realm when Pineda's in the equation. Maddie, what are you thinking in this fight with Wood so pricey here?
Yeah, I mean, I almost want to just auto bet Nathaniel Wood by decision plus 230. Like, I mean, you're getting a minus 450 favorite at plus 230 odds here, and you look at this dude's wins: 1, 2, 3, 4. His last 4 wins have all been by decision.
Yeah,
and then Pineda, last loss by decision. Then he has I mean, it's been some time, but he hasn't been that active at the same time.
yes,
But what, 3 of his last 5 or 3 of his last 4 losses have been by decision.
yeah,
I mean,
it looks like it dating back to like 2014. But I agree with you, man. You got a model approval check mark here. I got Nathaniel Wood by decision. I got some stupid number here. Let me flesh it out for you. 52.3%. So I would line this close to like minus 110 for Nathaniel Wood by points. I don't know why the finish outcomes are so short here when his finish indicators aren't very high. 0.26% knockdown rate. 0.5 submission attempts per 15, so not a super high volume BJJ player. And it's like Pineda has gone the distance when he hasn't been the one getting the finish. And like the biggest thing, Maddie, you said it's been a while since Wood got those subs. Those were at 135. He's transitioned to 145. He's become a decision machine. It's because he's small. He doesn't really have a lot of power in this division. So I think Wood by points is such an obvious play here. He could take advantage of Pineda's 48% takedown defense. Pineda, negative striking success rate with bad defense. There are a lot of ways he could win the fight. I think it's so obvious that points is the play here. It's just not very exciting, but that number is way different than I thought it was going to be. I love it here. You're on the same page.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a good number.
Yeah. Should we just move on? Like, should we just call it that?
Let's move on. Yeah.
I'm not betting Woods money line at minus 460. That's for sure. I was looking into points and I think my decision.
I can't wait to hear what you say on this one because we had Giga on the podcast.
Really?
If you guys want to go check it out, it's on Show Me the Money podcast on YouTube. Me, Gilbert Burns, Renato Moicano. We had Giga come on for about 15 minutes. That episode dropped yesterday, so it's live on YouTube right now. But Gilbert threw me under the bus right when Giga comes on. He's like, Gilbert's like, me and Moicano picked you, but Matty picked against you. And I was like, you asshole. Yeah. So, and then Giga spent he talked about why he's going to win. And you know how it is, bro. These fighters come on your show and they start to sway you. And now I'm like, man, is this dude a good underdog? I just think Arnold Allen is in close distance and is such a killer in there inside the pocket. But Giga, man, you watch some of his highlights and dude, his finishes come early. Like he gets like round one liver kick shots or like round one finishes. Like, I don't know. So I'm kind of back and forth on this fight. I think that it could go to the scorecards and be close one way or the other. But, Giga said that he believes Arnold Allen's going to come forward and wrestle. And he said he has a knee waiting for him if he does that. So I'm like, oh, shit. Like, he's starting to sway me here, So I would love to hear your opinion on this fight because I'm kind of going back and forth on this one. But I think it's going to be a very entertaining fight as long as Arnold Allen just doesn't shoot takedowns the whole fight.
Yeah, let me ask you this. Or were you not the man who told me that you had a source that believes that Movsar Evloev is the best featherweight in the world? That they think he is the best 145. This dude just had a +8 striking differential against Evloev in a really competitive fight. Now, he didn't win it, but it was a really competitive fight. And meanwhile, here's a guy that it's really tough for me to eliminate my bias here because I've always before you and I started syncing up doing this show, I had a name for Giga Chikadze. I called him the Giga Fraud was my name for Giga Chikadze on the podcast that I had been doing forever because like I looked at now he's definitely gotten better as far as his peripherals. He had a nice win over Alex Caceres, certainly graded through my model that way. I think Giga Fraud was probably too harsh, but I was all over Calvin Kattar against him in that 5-rounder that didn't go his way. I think the wrestling questions are very, very legitimate. Giga's got a background in kickboxing, hasn't really faced a lot of competition looking to take him down. A Caceres, a Kattar, a Barboza, a Cub Swanson. Arnie can. Arnie 1.02 takedowns per 15, 50% accuracy. I think he's really good at it. I think he's always a smart, high IQ fighter that does what is best path to victory for him. I've got Arnold Allen at minus 165 here, so I don't love the juice that you're paying in order to back him, but I feel very confident saying I think Allen is the pick here. And I got to check on Inside the Distance. I've got it at 21.2%, which is, I'm just looking real quick. Plus 370, I'm probably not going to show value on that or his decision prop, which is probably the shortest outcome of the fight. So I may end up passing while straight picking Allen here. Yeah, I don't.
You know what's crazy is Arnold Allen by decision is even money, and then Arnold Allen by knockout is 6-1.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy, bro. I feel like Arnold Allen's just going to win on the scorecards, though. I mean, Giga, it's hard to put Giga away, dude.
Yeah.
He's like
been very durable to this point.
You have to submit him. He just has some impressive finishes, dude. Cub Swanson liver kick round 1, Edson Barbosa round 3.
Yeah.
Like his kicks are insane, bro. And Gilbert and Moicano, they're like, oh, this dude's gonna kick. He's literally just gonna kick this dude to death. Like,
Yeah. Can I argue
just,
that he's a hard guy to project though, because he's just so inactive, and now he's 35, which is a magical number in my model where fighters start to fall off a cliff. He's a
yeah,
hard guy to project because he's just so inactive.
yeah. No, I agree. And the Caceres fight, Caceres goes on his next fight and loses to Sean Woodson too. So I don't know. Sean Woodson's my guy though. I like Sean Woodson.
I do.
But it's just tough. It's a really tough fight. I think from a money line perspective, I do think the value's on Giga here. I
Mhm.
just think Arnold Allen's going to come out with a game plan, as the superior MMA fighter, and just win on the scorecards, like, 29-28. It's my
Yeah.
prediction. I think Giga wins round 1, and then he drops the next 2.
For what it's worth, I have Allen KO at plus 450, and you said it was 6-1. So like that's actually the prop I'm showing.
Yeah.
That maybe fight ends KO is a good look because I've got that at.
I just think this shit goes the distance.
Yeah, I mean, like when you get these
When
high
you look
level
at the
featherweights,
beating both these guys can take.
yes,
You look at Arnold Allen, goes 5 rounds of Max Holloway, gets hit 147 times. And then you look at Giga, goes 5 rounds of Calvin Kattar, gets hit 144 times.
yeah,
And then it's like, can these guys just, go the distance in 15 minutes? Especially if Arnold Allen's mixing in some grappling. I think this is one of my favorite fights to go the distance. What's the number though on that?
and for the fight to go the distance, minus 200.
Minus 200. I don't think that's
Yeah,
a terrible number.
it's not. So 2 units to win one
I mean,
could
unless
be.
Giga finds like a knee, if he finds like a big shot in that first round, if he actually shoots takedowns on him,
Yeah,
then I think that's the one way it doesn't go the distance. But then again, Arnold Allen, man, I just keep thinking about that Dan Hooker fight.
yeah,
I'll never forget that. I was at Circus out by the pool and the
yes,
sports book and the blackjack tables, and I think I had Arnold Allen by decision in that fight, and Arnold Allen just comes out and like lands like 50 strikes in like 3 seconds against Dan Hooker, and just then the ref just stops it.
yeah,
So but again, that was Dan Hooker, and that was like after he had, accumulated some bad losses, and it was just a weird matchup.
yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna say Arnold Allen by decision. I don't love the number at even money, but I'm rooting for Giga though. I do want to see Giga win this fight. I would love to see a sick knockout from Giga.
Yeah, it's interesting. I have been a guy like earlier. I was a little skeptical. I thought the Yusuf decision with Arnold Allen was tight, and I'm like, I don't know about this guy. I don't know about this guy, and he's just impressed me. I feel like he won 10 in a row. He lost to Holloway. I put his stock up. He lost to Evloev. I put his stock up. It's just continued to go up with me. I feel like he's right there on the doorstep of contention. Whatever the first tier of featherweight is, I'd put him right outside it, like first spot in. Like I have a lot of respect for Allen, and I can't ultimately, I got to ditch the Giga fraud, right? Like I got to put that away. He certainly disproved that. I was a hater back in the day, but now we're reformed. I can't wait for this fight. It's going to be a good one. So, we'll move forward here, Maddie. Fourth to last fight on the card here. We got this bump to the pay-per-view in light of Mikhail Kopp falling off. This is a pro RoboCop podcast here, so they're offering plus 20 with RoboCop. We're really going to have to think about it, and it's definitely one to think about when a guy as good as Christian Leroy Duncan is on the other side.
Yeah.
This is a banger at middleweight, probably a better fight than Mikhail Kopp, especially how it looks in the action in it.
This is fight of the night. This could be fight of the night.
Yeah, this could be bananas, Maddie. So what do you think with Duncan currently sitting minus 154 on
So
FanDuel?
I will say one thing here. We put out a show me the money clip talking about this fight.
Yeah.
And RoboCop's obviously very good friends with Gilbert.
Yep.
And I commented on the video. I said RoboCop by submission ? And he liked the comment. So that
RoboCop
means
did?
he's getting the submission. Yeah.
Oh,
RoboCop
dude.
did.
I had RoboCop by submission written in my notes.
What scares me though? His
in
last fight, bro. I made this whole breakdown video for social media, like Instagram Reel, TikTok, everywhere. I was like, not his last fight, the fight before, the
Yes.
Dennis Tululin fight. I was like, look, RoboCop is coming off a knockout loss. He's talking about how he's got to do what got him here. He's
Yep.
going to take this dude right to the ground and sub him, right?
Yep.
In the first however many seconds, he takes Dennis Tululin right to the ground,
Yep.
but then he grounds and pounds him out, right? So there is risk there. I mean, look, I mean, Gilbert raves about how good his jujitsu is. He said it's world class.
Yep.
If RoboCop strikes at this dude for 15 minutes, he could get sniped here. He's a little stationary. He's
Kinda
very
short.
hittable,
Yeah.
but he can also knock the dude out. Like,
Yeah. True.
I think he's a very solid underdog, but it does scare me on the feet here. Like, he could get sniped by Christian Duncan. I want to see him take this dude right to the ground and find a choke of some sort.
Yes.
I mean 6-1 on the submission, dude. I think 7-1 I've seen on another book, but FanDuel's I think it's 6-1 right now.
Yeah.
Just again, it's scary because he has some vicious elbows on the ground. Like, so the risk is if you take the sub prop, everything goes perfectly. It gets to the ground, he gets the control time.
Yeah.
He's softened him up, but then he just TKOs him. So, but I just love the 6-1 number. Again, I've every fucking week, bro. I'm just these submission props just stick out to me, and it's just the worst bet.
Yeah. I mean, inside the distance is plus 200, which is not a bad middle ground if you're afraid of the ground and pound for a guy that's plus 120.
Yeah.
I agree with it, dude. I know how good CLD is. Like the way he can switch stances. Like the guy is a striking maestro, and like you see he's earned a fight like this already. But if you look at his resume, he has not earned this betting line. Claudio Ribeiro is a bum. Dennis Tululin is a bum. Dushko Todorovic was a bum, and by the way, he tore his knee seconds into that fight. And then how he fared against Armin Petrosyan. Armin Petrosyan turned into some sort of grappling maestro against him. I definitely think he notched like over, what was it, 5? It was 321 on paper. He definitely landed a good bit of control time. I feel like Rodriguez is a great wrestler and grappler. 2.46 takedowns per 15, 45% accuracy on those, and 0.5 submission attempts per 15. And this is the guy in RoboCop that came out before the Tululin fight and said, I got knocked out twice in a row. I got to get back to my roots. And then, he just beat the crap out of Brad Tavares for fun. But like, I think that sort of guy, if he understands that sort of conscious approach, I think he beats CLD pretty easily. Now, maybe he gets the finish, maybe he doesn't, but like, I like his money line a lot here. I definitely think I got a sprinkle submission when I'm forecasting a huge grappling advantage. And like, some of this is we've seen RoboCop look a little human. Christian Duncan has not looked human so far, but how that Bruno Ferrero loss has not aged poorly for Rodriguez. He's on short notice. It was like a week-long matchup, and Ferreira's got hammers, I like the fact that he got KO'd by Bruno. It kind of lowered his stock for a little bit, but I think RoboCop, you kind of understand this guy's for real. I think he's a top.
And Bruno, like that Nursultan Ruzaboev KO was so fluky. Just it was so weird on the feet. And then he comes out and gets 2 straight knockouts. So I agree with you. It hasn't aged that badly. I think Bruno Ferreira is actually a little underrated here.
Yeah.
I think if he fought Nursultan again, Bruno would win that fight and probably knock him out. So I just think, again, it just concerns me if RoboCop walks forward and strikes with him, but like if he can, make it a little uglier of a fight and get it to the ground. He's just so dangerous in top position.
What about Duncan, though, screams extreme scary power? Because Duncan went to the second with Tulun, the second with Ribeiro. The Todorovic thing was a knee injury. Who is he blitzed out of there quickly when RoboCop's been in a war with Iron Turtle back in the day? I was going to say his name wrong. Jung Young Park. Like he went. Remember, he got hurt.
Look at the Chitty and Jaquani. Look at the Chitty and Jaquani fight.
Yeah, he got.
But it's more about. It's more about those. I think like RoboCop. It's more about those shots you don't see coming. That like those sniper like shots. Like he can take big shots if he sees them, like the Chitty and Jaquani fight, and like he's a dog, But I feel like he is capable of walking into something and getting sniped, and I'm just praying that doesn't happen. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna probably go RoboCop inside the distance, and I'll probably maybe play the round 1-2 sub. Or just sub in general. I really like the number.
Yeah.
I'm gonna dude, there's 14 fights on this card. I mean, I'm gonna do a couple parlays, a couple submission parlays. I have to. You said
Yeah.
what? 19% of fights
Yeah.
end by
19.1.
submission, right?
Mhm.
So that means three fights out of 14 are gonna end by submission, right? Is my math accurate there?
Roughly so. I'm here. Let me.
2.8 is the real number, but
Yeah.
we're
Okay.
gonna
Okay.
round.
About 3 or 14.
We're gonna
About 3
we're
or
gonna
14.
round up to 3. So
Yeah.
my philosophy here is if I do 2 submission parlays, I pick 4 fighters to win by sub.
Yeah.
2 of them have to hit on one of the 2 lays.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
RoboCop
with
by
you.
sub.
And
RoboCop by sub. I'm feeling it.
how upset are you though if it's Jake Hadley or Alice Ardeline and like Sam Patterson and a terrible number? Those are our 3 fights on the card. No, I'm
I
kidding.
mean,
But,
I'm only upset if I don't have them. So
yeah, absolutely. So, all right, let's move on.
yeah.
Another good fight. I mean, this pay-per-view is loaded 5 for
Hold on,
5.
before we move
Yeah.
on, I have one question. So
Okay.
the over under, I want to talk to you about
Okay.
this over under real quick.
Yep. So fight is minus 280 to not go the distance. Over 1.5 is minus 136.
Over what?
Over 1.5 minus 136 in that Rodriguez CLD fight.
Wow.
That favors RoboCop. I think if he doesn't get chinned quickly, he's already probably established some sort of grappling threat.
Okay, it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that favor,
Yeah.
but I don't have a real read on that total. I wasn't able to model that fight. Duncan didn't have enough octagon time, so it would have just kind of.
Yeah.
I don't
What is
like.
good with the chat today? Are you people in the chat need to chill the fuck out, man.
Yeah.
It's
They do.
literally just a war zone, yo. Why is everyone coming at each other? Like, so we have 800 we have 830 people watching live right now between YouTube, Facebook, and X, I think.
Yeah.
Brad has already banned like 5 people this stream, bro. It's just like nonstop kids just trashing each other. How about we all just talk about the fights, try to win some coin, and relax, yo. It's not that serious. Everyone's fucking going crazy. All right, let's talk about the Patty fight.
Well said, Matty, because I've noticed the same. I'm like, you guys got chill. Like, we're wrong a lot.
It's
We
distracting.
we give our thoughts. We're wrong a lot. Like, we're not here pretending we're gods. Like, I look like MMA Guru, but I don't act like him. So, but like, it is what it is. Let's just chill and have a good time. I think we're gonna have a good time talking about this Patty King Green. We have the nameplate wrong. It is now King Green exclusively. My apologies to King and his family here. He's a minus 122 favorite, kind of short. We've heard about this fight nonstop. Patty is maybe the most enigmatic superstar the UFC has. That's not like an elite fighter. He's not a Sean O'Malley. He's not an Izzy, but he's like a really like name attraction, and he's got the third to last spot on the pay-per-view. A lot of people think he's a little bit overrated. Tony Ferguson goes the distance. Jared Gordon kind of thought it was a robbery. Now he's taking on a guy in green, 37 years old, has some vulnerabilities of his own. Maddie, what are you looking at here as far as how can Patty keep this momentum rolling if he can?
Yeah, I'm mad at myself that you know me, bro. I don't really typically bet fights weeks or months out, like mainly because I'm a prop guy. Like I like the outcomes and the long shots, and but this is one of those fights that like, what was Patty's money line a month ago?
It was definitely higher than this. That's for sure.
Wasn't it in the 200s?
Yeah, it was closer to like plus 180. I think is when I saw it last month.
Yeah. I mean, I think Patty, like, say what you want about Patty. We talk about him on our podcast all the time at Moicano. We have fun. And, Moicano really wanted that Patty fight. But Bobby Green, bro, what's he, 6-5 in his last, I mean, again, Patty's younger. I think he's going to have the better chin. I think he's very explosive early on.
Yep.
I don't understand it. I think Patty wins this fight. I think the UFC knows that. There's a reason that Moicano isn't fighting Patty in the UK.
Yep.
Like, I think, Bobby Green is a company man, bro. He's the sacrificial lamb here. Yep. I would have liked to seen him be a lot more aggressive in the press conference and talk his shit, and something's off, dude. I don't know whether he has an injury or he's not there mentally or he's taken a lot of damage the past couple of years.
Yep.
But he's kind of feels like a humble dude who just is here for a paycheck. And maybe I'm dead wrong, right? We know and understand the risk here, Patty marches forward with his chin in the air all the time. He gets tagged. Go
Yes.
watch the tape. We see and understand that. But Bobby Green, outside of the Grant Dawson fight, he's not really a one-punch knockout type of guy. He's more of an accumulation.
Yeah.
And with Patty's youth and durability, I think he just eats those shots and keeps coming forward.
Yeah.
And I actually think in this fight, Patty has a better chance of knocking out Bobby than the other way around. Just
Yeah.
based off of, and I know that sounds crazy, right? Because like Bobby's, the better striker. But I just think off of age and durability and explosiveness and athleticism and size. Did you see the face off?
Yeah. Patty, by the way, has become huge for this 155.
He's a big guy,
He's
man. He
so
looks way
big.
bigger than Bobby.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I'm telling you, I know this sounds crazy, but what are some of the fights Bobby's been hurt in that round? Even the Jim Miller fight, wasn't Bobby hurt in round 1?
Yes. Jim landed a shot that definitely stumbled him for a bit in the first round there. Like I had
Yeah.
Green in a parlay. I was nervous. Jalen Turner got him in the first round. Jared Gordon had his moments there. Drew Dober in the first 8 minutes. Like oh yeah, the list can go on and on. Bobby, especially as he's gotten older, has definitely shown more vulnerability with his chin. I mean, like I think that I love my model's handicap on this fight. It's the closest fight on the card. I basically got it 50-50. So I took plus money with Patty while I could, and it's kind of inched out of that range. But I'm with you, Matty.
Yeah.
I think that, so for instance, I've got Pimblett 38.6% likely to win by finish. Green just 16.9%.
Wow.
Patty's durable and he's hard to get out of there. I think people look apples and oranges at the Ferguson
Plus
result
270 inside the distance.
for Patty.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's value if I run the
That
math
is
on
value.
it.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, it's plus 160. I got plus 160. I think a majority of Patty's win equity is inside the distance here. Now, a sub might be tough. It's been a long time since we've seen Bobby Green subbed. I actually don't know if he's been subbed in UFC.
But even in the
Yeah.
fights, like for example, I'll never forget I had Islam by sub against Bobby.
Yep.
And he just controlled him and ground and pounded.
Yeah.
So like there are scenarios where Bobby is getting controlled and Patty's, say what you want, but his jiu-jitsu is slick as hell.
It is. It's very good. He submitted Levitt, who's another good player.
Patty could just storm forward against this guy and maybe even climb his back on the feet too.
Yep.
Is not out of the realm of possibilities.
Yeah.
I just think Patty's very explosive early on. We've seen Bobby get hurt early on in fights. I like the inside the distance number.
Yeah.
Would it surprise me if Patty won a decision? Probably not, but I don't know. I just think the UFC knows what they're doing here.
Agreed.
It is funny.
Doesn't it feel like this is a Patty spot?
It is
they
funny
want
that
Patty
they
to win
both
this
fought.
fight.
Of course, yeah. It is funny that they both fought Tony Ferguson and Bobby Green's the one that submitted Tony. Isn't that crazy?
Right. It is wild.
But that's just MMA for you, bro.
Yeah. I think that mutual result with Ferguson is holding a lot of weight in why Bobby was such a big favorite, especially early on in this line. Now, as it's matured, you kind of look at age, attrition, all that sort of stuff. Like I said, I've got Patty a slight favorite here. Fight to not go the distance 55.4% of the time. So I don't actually know what we're looking at for a total. It could be all over the board for me. So it's minus 148 to go the distance. I'd take the under. I've got it actually slightly favored to not go the distance. And like that, to me, that sort of fight favors Patty. Like you look at the Jalen Turner fight, man, how are you not worried about Bobby's durability? Not like the Jim Miller fight, everything's all hunky dory. Jim Miller's a billion years old, guys. And like, there's a very different trajectory of Bobby's career if that Grant Dawson fight went if you ran him back 100 times, how many of those does Grant Dawson win in dominant fashion? Like 80, 85 of them. Like he was a huge favorite. Like he got the quick punch because Dawson's chin wasn't up to snuff. But other than that, it's a bunch of old guys. Jim Miller, Tony Ferguson, Ali Quinta, Alan Patrick, Lando Venata, Clay Guida. Like where is the Patty Pimblett in his prime that the dude is just taken out outside of Dawson?
The other thing is Bobby Green does good against shorter guys.
Yeah.
Like even Rafael Fiziev, who's an unbelievable striker, Bobby Green had good success against him. He's a shorter guy.
Yes.
And then Jim Miller, shorter guy. But like Patty's just going to be taller and longer, younger, more explosive. And then you look at Bobby's last 3 losses, bro. They are bad loss. They're not bad losses. They're bad finishes.
Yes,
Jalen
speed
Turner,
downs.
really late stoppage. Drew Dober knocks him out cold,
Yep,
with that left hand. And
and
then
Islam.
Islam, the ground and pound. I mean, those are 3 losses that aren't good for your durability,
Yeah,
So I kind of feel like, the Jim Miller fight, it's kind of like fool's gold here. Like they're like, oh, Bobby's back here. He looks really good. And he
yeah.
did beat the piss out of Jim Miller in that 3rd round.
This is an obvious Bobby sell spot, Patty buy spot off his last 2 fights. Like, I feel good about I think this market is moving in an intelligent fashion.
Yeah.
And it would not surprise me if Patty's favored by Saturday, by the way. So,
Yeah.
do you have it? Like, are you just playing inside the distance? I really don't hate the round 1 angle, bro, because of the Bobby chin thing. Like, do
Yeah.
you prefer knockout then to submission?
Yeah, so I mean, Bobby has been historically good defensively against, the subs. Um,
Yes.
Patty by knockout is plus 650 and sub is 5-1.
Yeah.
So it
I've
makes
got them
it tough,
basically even. I've got them basically even, which would put value on the KO relative to the sub.
Right. Yeah, this is one of those fights where, normally I love to go crazy with exact outcomes, but
Yeah.
this is one of those fights where I like inside the distance and I like him early.
Yeah.
I think the longer this fight goes, Bobby gets more comfortable as the fights go,
Yeah.
He starts showboating and I think he gets better. But I think Patty in the first 5 to 7 minutes here
Yeah.
could be money for him. So
Love it.
that's my
I love it.
prediction. That I'm telling you that round 1, I want to hear your opinion on the Aspinall fight too, because
Yeah.
wait till you see that fucking round 1 number. It's disgusting. I think I
Yeah,
texted it you the
I
other
I
day.
gotta take a look at it to see the splits. I have not I check out a little bit on Wednesday and Thursday before we do the show just to be totally fresh. But Maddie, the reason these people tune into our show sometimes is this is a really hard fight to bet in a money line capacity. The co-main event, Aspinall minus 440. You either like Curtis Blades or you don't. It's like a hard number to bet. Why they come to see us is
Yeah.
fun ways that we're betting this fight. I've got one that my model sniffed out. You sent me a teaser of a text that you like something in this fight. Maybe we can put it together and have a little bit of fun with this one. So what do you think? Heavyweight strap on the line, kind of a rematch, kind of not really. We didn't get to see these guys fight the first time because of the Aspinall knee injuries. So Tommy Aspinall, Curtis Blades, who do you like and why? And what is your weird prop angle here?
Yeah, so me, bro, the last 3 years I've been saying Aspinall is it, right? This
Yep.
is the guy. He's just, I believe, the most well-rounded MMA fighter in the entire UFC, or at least, top 3 to 5 in that regard. He doesn't have any weaknesses, in my opinion. He has a
Agreed.
chin, he can wrestle, he is slick jiu-jitsu, and he's very elite boxing and speed on the feet and power. He doesn't have any weaknesses.
Yep.
I think his only weakness right now is just not being even bigger of a name for a John Jones fight. I would love to see him hit that next tier of star power. But I love Aspinall, bro. I'm always on him. So I remember in the Sergey Pavlovich fight, I had Aspinall money line as my last leg of the parlay. And every
Yep.
time I have the last leg, I always post it on social media because I want to see what people say they would do. Every comment in the world was hedge out, cash out. And this was when Pavlovich was
Yep.
you remember the aura
Fear.
that Pavlovich had before he
Yep.
lost to Aspinall.
Yep.
And I hit that parlay. It was I don't remember the exact numbers, 12 grand or 15 or something, whatever it was. And Aspinall's the last leg. And I stuck with it. That was one of those fights where the favorite felt like the dog. Aspinall was a minus 120 favorite. And in the eyes of the public, he was the underdog in that fight, if you remember. And my point of this story is I can't go against him anymore, but this number is ridiculous.
Sure.
Curtis Blades is a very, very good heavyweight at 3-1. I don't have a problem with anyone that wants to take a stab at him. The thing that drives me crazy on these fights is I remember when I took Pavlovich round 2 against Curtis Blades. It's the same concept as this one. Aspinall round 1 is minus 110. But if Curtis Blades can just survive for 5 minutes, that round 2 jumps up to 5-1 odds. That's just crazy to me, right? And it's Curtis, can you get one takedown in the first round and tick the clock a little bit, or at least hold this dude up against the cage for a couple minutes. Like, do something, you know. But it's like, can we trust Curtis Blades to do that? And then a lot of people talk about that 15 seconds that took place when they first fought. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, Curtis was landing and doing this and that. I think Tom will come out a little calmer than that. He was like just pressing forward and, you know,
Right.
throwing, like, you know, he's a little reckless. So, um, I mean, long story short, I just think Aspinall KO, dude. I just don't see how he doesn't knock out Curtis Blades. You know, I think he's too strong and big to get, you know, thrown around or wrestled. Like, I don't
Yes.
think Curtis Blades is going to land takedowns. And if he does, is Curtis really going to hold him down? Like, Aspinall is he's a big dude in crazy shape. Jailton
With
Almeida
excellent
was
jiu-jitsu.
ragdolling Curtis Blades until he couldn't anymore.
Yep.
So I don't know. I understand the number here, but at the same time, it is very, very steep. With all that said, I like Aspinall by KO, and I do like the round 2 prop at 5-1 odds. That's just, I think that's a round 2 finish. I think the round 2 KO would be way bigger or even bigger.
Yeah, we've seen Aspinall go into the second round. If it wasn't once, I think
What
it's
was the
twice. I want to say twice. No, it was once. It was against
yeah,
Arlovsky. He got a submission in that fight.
Orlovsky, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like it's not unprecedented. Now, again, my model is basically giving 0 decision equity because he's never seen an 8th minute in UFC, much less 25 of them. And like my question to Curtis Blades backers here, I tweeted that Curtis Blades is up Schitt's Creek with no paddle this week because like, what do you think he's gonna do? Because analytically, you're like, okay, Blades can wrestle. Tom Aspinall, 100% takedown defense. By the way, if he gets it there, who's the more dangerous jiu-jitsu player? Aspinall,
Exactly.
1.7 attempts per 15. Blades, huge red flag here, especially at heavyweight. Curtis Blades, 0 career submission attempts. Okay, so like, what does his jiu-jitsu even look like?
Are we even sure Bladis is even the? Are we even sure Curtis is even the better wrestler?
I'm not.
I mean,
I'm not, dude. I'm not. Because Aspinall hasn't missed a takedown attempt in UFC thus far. Lands 3.46 per 15 minutes, and then excellent striking active success plus 4.9 SSR. Guys, let me listen to you because Dana White doesn't even know the definition of his own pound for pound belt. Pound for pound is a fighter relative to the rest of his division as far as well-rounded skill set is concerned. The pound for pound best fighter in UFC is Tom Aspinall because there's not a heavyweight that can challenge him in any MMA capacity. And I'm including John Jones, the small boy, the light heavyweight, in that conversation. I don't think John Jones can hold a candle to how big and how fast Tom Aspinall is in comparison to, I mean, the dude went the distance with Dominic Reyes. So I am over the John Jones aura based on what we've seen in recent years, and beating Stipe is not going to do it for me. I put Aspinall in some summer parlays a long time ago. He's now all the way up to minus 440. Now, my take I'll give you is that you kind of like the knockout. My model is leaning submission. I've got KO minus 115. I've got sub plus 365. So I'm actually showing value on the sub. And by the way, I'm going to call my shot right here. Tom Aspinall, front choke, first 2 rounds. Curtis Blades gets desperate, shoots for a takedown. Tom gets him in a front choke in the first 2 rounds. That's how I see this fight anecdotally.
Has Curtis been subbed?
I don't think so, but
0 submission, 0 losses by sub in 22 fights.
Who's going to do it on his resume, though? Who's going to do it?
I know. No, you're right. If there's anyone that can, maybe like Volkov has some. There's just nobody, bro. There's if you just scroll down his tabology, like there's literally nobody. Like Almeida would have been the best chance, right?
Yeah. And by the way, Almeida was dominating.
Alexia Oleinik.
What did he knock him out?
Alexia Oleinik. Yeah. I just think, I mean, Aspinall, I'll tell you one thing, I think it was, the round 1 sub for Aspinall against Volkov was sick.
Yeah.
He made that look so easy. It was like, what was it, an arm bar? Or it was a straight arm lock.
Yeah. Yes. By the way, Volkov more submission attempts and finishes in UFC than Blades. So
yeah.
Like, are we even sure? And by the way, I've been asking for a Volkov Blades rematch forever because Volkov's kind of figured out his takedown defense since those 2 fought way back, like right after COVID. I would love to see that fight run back, but like, I mean, I don't think Blades has any sort of answer for Aspinall here. I just don't know what it is. Like the first fight I was more open to it because Aspinall had a smaller sample, but at this point he's knocked out the boogeyman. Like, look how many dudes he has run through that are of elite caliber at this point.
Yeah.
Marcin
The
Tybura
one,
made him
like,
look
I
like
think
nothing.
the only concern
Yeah.
you have here, the only chance that I think Curtis can win this fight is if he figures out a way to just get on top and rain ground and pound on him.
Right.
Because that's his path. I just don't even think he can land one takedown. Like, I really don't.
He'd be the first. He'd be the first to land a takedown on Aspinall. He'd be the first. So like,
I think he could
plus
get
310
kneed, he could get uppercut.
front
Like,
choke, dude. Like, there's so many paths
bro,
to failure.
it's just disgusting. And is there any world in the world where this shit goes the distance?
My model puts all of the decision equity with Blades because he's shown a tendency to go the distance. I've still got it 82% likely to not go. This is 82% likely to not start round 4. So if you extrapolate that out the distance, it's probably like 90-95%. I think if this goes the distance, just bet Blades by points instead, because something's happened where Tom is not able to keep his feet. Curtis maybe is able to control him with his wrestling, and he's extended the fight. But like, how long do you think Blades can last with Aspinall?
Insane. Aspinall, his last fight, 1:09 seconds. The one before, 1:13.
Yep.
The one before, 3:45. That was the Volkov submission. And dude, by the way, that takedown, the timing on that was insane. Volkov throws a strike, Aspinall times it, perfect double leg. That's my point when I'm saying I don't even know that Curtis is actually the better wrestler. Like, as crazy as that
and
sounds.
by the way, remember Almeida just took him down 9 times. So what if Tom gets on the offensive wrestling? It takes him down just like
I think if he wanted to, he could. I don't know why he would, but
I mean, like, so Blades didn't have a ton from bottom position. Maybe that's the best path for him to the fight. And by the way, if he does that, this is like Amanda Nunes shit where she would beat Holly Holm with a high kick just to do it. You know, like where she was so much better than everyone else.
What's the game plan? If you're Curtis Blades' coach, like, what's the detailed game plan here? Because it's not as simple as just go shoot takedowns. Like, I think you have to literally push this dude up against the cage and try to like I just think you can't shoot a double leg. I don't think you can come in and shoot double legs, or I guess you can try to shoot like some single legs on Aspinall, but I just think it's going to end poorly, bro. It's going to end poorly if especially if you're telegraphing these shots. Like, Aspinall's just too quick, uppercut, knee, something. Like, I think it's going to end poorly.
Can I give you? I think the Blades path is leg kicks.
Yeah.
Like he showed some of that against Derek Lewis. He showed some of that against Chris Dawkins. And any fighter can be a very different fighter with different abilities if you take out one of their wheels. I think he's got to attack Tom's leg if he's going to have any chance.
Yeah.
That's my one anecdotal take, but I still don't think it's super likely because Tom, by the way, when you try to kick Tom's leg, have you seen on Twitter the oblique kick that he'll throw? He'll throw it to your opposite plant leg. He's going to take out somebody's knee doing that. It's a great little kick that he has mastered. I'll send it to you via text. It's such a smart, heady thing that I think we'll see in other weight classes soon. So, Maddie, why don't we move on here? We'll talk about the main event, and then we'll build the people parlay so they can head on home in their merry way. The pride of England, England's long-returned champion. I guess technically Aspinall's not the heavyweight champ. That's for an interim defense, which is the dumbest thing in the world. But Leon Edwards taking on Belal Muhammad. This is for the undisputed welterweight title here. These guys, a little bit of bad blood. Belal got poked in the eye in the second round of his fight with Edwards. Edwards definitely won the first round. Like, he was ahead in that fight. Don't really know how it would have played out going longer into it. But Belal says that it would have played out very differently. We know what Belal says, and he certainly played up some of the antics at this. Belal now a 10-fight unbeaten streak, similar to what we've seen from Rocky. So this really is a big-time fight. These guys both can really do a little bit of everything. I think it's an interesting line and an interesting fight to talk about betting. What are you leaning here? Because I genuinely have no idea, even though, we talked about some other fights. We haven't talked about this one at all.
Yeah, I'm Belal money line, bro.
Me too.
It's as simple as that. Like, Belal money line, the pressure. I mean, when you just look at Leon and like the Kamaru fights, like the second Kamaru fight. Now remember, there's 3. So when I say the second, I mean like the
second title fight.
The first time Leon beat Kamaru, basically.
Yes.
I mean, after round 1, he lost every round, right? And
Yes.
Belal can come forward with the same pressure. Um, and it's I just think it's Bilal's time, man. 9 fight winning streak?
10
Like,
fight unbeaten. Yeah.
yeah, and like neither of these guys are finishers. Like, don't let anyone fool you. Like, Leon's just as much as a decision fighter almost as Bilal is. So like, he is the one head kick knockout on Kamaru, but he didn't put Nate Diaz away. I mean, Masvidal put Diaz away. Like,
Yep.
it's tough. I will say, if Leon wins this fight, I do think it's gonna be that head kick. Like, because Bilal, he got caught with that head kick against Jeff Neal, and he is susceptible to that.
Yeah.
So I do think that's Leon's path. Or if Leon is just stuffing takedowns and outpointing him, obviously
Sure.
that could happen as well. But I just think Bilal is on a different level than like where Colby was when Colby fought Leon. Plus, he was injured or whatever was the
100%.
case. I just think Bilal is very consistent. You look at who he is as a fighter compared to a couple years ago. You even look at his physique, and then you factor in the fact that he is literally training with Khabib and Islam, and um, he's not those guys, but I just think he can pressure him for 5 rounds, and I think that does a lot in the judges' eyes. And that Sean Brady fight, say what you want, but that was an impressive performance. Like,
Oh,
Brady was a
absolutely.
sit and duck when he couldn't get takedowns, and Bilal's just gonna stay in your face. And if you think about it, how do you beat Leon? You can't let him breathe. Like, you
Exactly.
can't stay at range against this guy. You can't let him head kick you. Look what happened when Kamaru in round 5. If Kamaru just stays on the gas and stays right in his face, that never happens. But he took a breath and stood in the middle of the octagon and let Leon set up that head kick. Bilal's game plan, when he talks about Khabib's feeding him a game plan, like, no shit, it's wrestle, shoot takedowns. We all understand that. But I legitimately think you can't let Leon breathe. Like, you have to be in his face for
Mhm.
25 minutes.
Mhm.
And I think he's prepared to do that cardio wise.
Mhm.
And I think he's, prepared for this fight. So I, 2-1 odds, 9 fight win streak. Like, if Leon head kicks him, then, I'll lose the bet. It is what it is. But I just think he's a very solid underdog here.
Yeah, dude, I'm in full agreement with you. I think it's an activity disparity. Belil lands almost 2 more significant strikes per minute, 0.75 more takedowns per 15 minutes. And by the way, that wrestling prior probably going to improve if he's been working a ton with Khabib. I think Belil is a story about how far road work and fight IQ can get you because he's not a great athlete. He's not film guys make fun of his hands all the time because Belil's combos are not pretty, right? Like, he's a grinder. He has to work for everything. He's not very talented. It's almost like the opposite of Leon in very many ways. Whereas, but he's been effective. He's had a hard time. His striking defense, 57%, takedown defense, 93%. Belil is the best takedown defense, minimum 5 fights in the entire division, 170. It's right there with Kamaru Usman, similar fashion. And, Edwards got Usman down by the one trip in the first round of their first title fight. But other than that, he wasn't able to get him to the ground. Edwards is talented, but I think Muhammad, like you said, he's willing to pressure him in the face. And by the way, that Edwards Covington result was not pretty. Like, he did not separate from Colby in the way that I think he should have, given how poor of shape
Dude,
Colby
I
looked.
agree.
Like, I wanted
Worst
more.
fight
I
ever,
wanted
man. I was
more.
at that fight
Yeah.
live, and it was so depressing to watch. And
Yeah.
I had a crazy long shot on Leon's sub.
Really.
And you remember he had that shit locked
Yeah, I do.
In that Colby fight.
I do.
I just love taking submission props when against wrestlers that are coming forward.
Yep.
Um, but because Leon's very well rounded, like, we know we're up against here when we're betting on Belal. Like, Leon's
Yeah.
probably the more skilled guy almost everywhere.
Sure.
But I just think the pressure, dude. I think the pressure, the cardio, staying in his face, and Bilal's a very high fight IQ. Like, he came on our podcast when we were in Vegas for Moicano's fight, and like Belal talked about, like, hey, he started MMA at a very late age, but he
Yes.
has like the intellect and the fight IQ, and he's gonna do what he needs to do to win the fight. And I truly believe he's gonna get it done. But it is a tough fight for sure.
Yeah. I mean, you and I are in total agreement. By the way, just model results for those keeping track at home. I've got Edwards minus 135 to win, 57.1%. So Belil, I'd show value at plus 135. I think 2 to
Oh
1 is
yeah.
nice. Um, the question is, what do you think about the total? It's pretty lengthy. Over 4.5 is like minus 200. I've got the fight 81.1% likely to go the distance. So I think Belal by points plus 390, pretty darn good bargain in my opinion.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So the fight to go to distance, it was at minus 180. It's up to like minus 195.
Sure.
I couldn't believe the way just the average, like the way people talk about this fight is like there's no way it doesn't go the distance. Like no
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
And then you look at the odds, and at one point it was only minus 180 to go the distance, right? And I'm like, wait a
Yes.
second. The polar opposite is when people are like, oh, there's no chance this fight goes the distance. Like, like Francis Ngannou versus Derek Lewis, right? And
Yep.
you see these crazy minus 800 numbers, right? Fight does not go this, or fight goes the distance minus 800. But then this is like the polar opposite, and it's only minus 190. And people are like, oh, just bet 10 grand on this. This goes to the scorecards. And
Yeah.
I'm like, hold on a second. Why is it only plus 150 to not go the distance? These guys have 4 combined finishes in the last 7-8 years.
Yeah.
So that number does confuse me a little, like Leon's not really a finisher. Belal definitely isn't a finisher. I guess because it's 5 rounds, like that has a lot to do with it. But
Yes.
I mean, only plus 150 for the fight not to go the distance. You would think you would get like plus 250, plus 300 on that number.
Yeah, I just feel like the film guys are still playing Edwards inside the distance here. I think that's what it comes down to. Is I think a lot of them are playing KO submission because they flip on Belal Muhammad and they see they're like, oh, Edwards is going to box this guy up, but he never does. He never throws out the volume that would overwhelm a particular guy. Like Colby Covington was outmatched at distance. I get what you're saying. It's a little bit. What was I saying? Sam Patterson, round 1 sub plus 200. It's like, man, I would have expected that would have been shorter. Is that a trap or is it just really good value? I think it's a good question. I think it's a good question, Maddie. Is this a trap or is it good value? I've kind of already taken my stance that I see this one. By the way, Hey Jive is also on over 4.5 rounds. Made a good point in the Discord as well. Welterweight title fight trends when you talk about those. Kamaru Usman, Leon Edwards, like a lot of these divisional trends also favor overs in this spot. And these guys are like, Muhammad's defense is elite. Edwards is not far behind him. These are hard guys to hit with. Like that's why that Edwards Usman knockout was so stunning, is because how that fight looked to that point. It looked like we were headed toward another decision, right? It was so stunning. To me, that's like a once in a thousand lightning in a bottle type of moment. Whereas a majority of the time, Edwards, he's gone to his decision, or I should say this, over 4.5 has cashed in each of his last 7 fights, including that Usman Edwards fight. So I feel like you can pretty much. If you're going to pick a guy to finish, is it Muhammad by sub because of the Khabib ties? Is it Edwards by KO? Like what would you even guess?
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, I was just looking at the finish props. Belal by knockout is plus 950. Belal by sub is 14-1. If someone put a gun to your head and said you have to take Belal to get a finish, would you take the knockout at? Yeah, even though he is like, he don't even get subs. That's the problem. Like 1 sub.
Yeah, exactly.
He's just a chain. Yeah.
Well, could be ground and pound. It could be ground and pound. My model, by the way, has Belal winning by finish just 5.4% of the time.
Yeah.
So I'm not even showing value on that.
Right. No, it's yeah. But would you see it early or late if he gets it?
Late. I do not think one of these guys is sparking the other in however long. Belal's last loss by finish was Vicente Luque, November 2016, and he's already run that one back and finished it. Like I feel like the guy's defense is on another planet. So like I think it would take some sort of melting procedure and cardio. Maybe Edwards, he pushes a pace, maybe he gasses him out of there. Like maybe that's the fear, and maybe you play Muhammad round 3, 4, 5 if you're concerned about that. But I feel really good. I feel really good about this one going longer into the fight.
Yeah, Brad, ban this Herbert dude. Man, he's driving me fucking crazy. I'm tired of these peasants in the chat.
Yeah, we're gonna call
Your
you out.
model.
We're just gonna
Yeah,
start.
no, get rid of these peasants, dude. I'm tired of it.
My
It's
retort's
like
always the
annoying. It's
same:
annoying as
is
shit.
how profitable is your model? What key catches do you have? Like, I mean, like it's like,
Yeah,
dude, I understand that I am working uphill to try to do this analytically when it is you watch film. That's how you bet UFC. I'm trying to do this the way people play fantasy football. It's hard. And I'm gonna get things
yeah,
really wrong, but I'm trying, and it's fun, and I enjoy
yeah,
it. And it
yeah.
gives
Like
you and
people
I,
can you can
yeah,
bet whatever the hell you want. You
yeah.
can
Go ahead.
fade us. You can do whatever you want. But like, we're just giving you our perspectives. You're giving people the data. I love
Yeah,
hearing your opinion, bro.
yeah.
I love
I
hearing
this
what the
show we
model
do,
likes. Dude, last week when you
yeah.
came and said Steve Garcia by knockout, your model had that at minus 180.
Yep.
I hammered that, bro. I got it at plus money and he starched him in round one.
Yeah.
I just, the thing about your model and just numbers in general is they're unemotional. So
Yep.
it's good to hear and understand what the math is saying and what your model is saying. And dude, that Steve Garcia one last week was so money. Like that was
Yeah.
shit was I saved my night because I was having a bad night up until that point. I finally hit that, um, and it was huge. But yeah, I mean, so I was looking at the Belal round 3, 4, 5 numbers, and they're just out of this world. Just
I
like because
bet.
his pressure and pace is just unbelievable.
Yeah.
But it's
And
just
then at that
just
point, it's so
finishing.
big, you don't even have to take a particular
Yeah,
method. And now, interesting for Belal, 4-5 decision is plus 320. That's not very different from his decision. So, if you're kind of angling that way, you're not sure, you could always play plus 4-5 decision and get all three for pretty close to that if you so choose. But Maddie, why don't we move on and build these guys a parlay? I actually got to go pick my
let's go.
girlfriend up
Yeah,
somewhere, so we'll make quick work. I think you and I are going to be pretty aligned on this. Let's do our safe parlay last week, which
yeah.
by the way, oh, that's right. Bill Algeo sold the safe parlay
Oh,
last week.
fuck
If
Bill
he,
Algeo,
yeah,
dude.
absolutely, fuck Bill Algeo
In
is
hindsight,
correct.
obviously hindsight's 2020, but man,
Yeah.
that was just a dumb pick.
Yeah, it probably wasn't a good number when we didn't know a lot about Duho Choi, but like if Choi came out and got mopped, that wouldn't have been overly surprising either. It's kind of tough.
Yeah,
But we'll try again this week. I certainly think we've got some sides we're like all in. Like you and I are locked
yeah.
in, loaded in. So why don't we throw these out here and see what we can build for a safe lay for the fellas, including I hope my first nomination, Marcin Prachnio moneyline plus 130.
Yeah, I think we go Prochnow. I
Okay.
think we go Molly and Patty.
Okay. I was gonna say I thought we were gonna do Mally round one, Patty round one for the fun one.
Oh, so
And
you don't
like
want to be overexposed. Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah. And like now we've double dipped before, but we don't have to do
yeah,
that. Like we like would by points plus 230. That was one that we settled on that we really liked. RoboCop by sub is a fun leg that we could do. So we could maybe throw like I for a fun parlay, I'm thinking I love Molly inside the distance plus 165. I think it's such a good
yeah.
number.
Let's throw that in there. So we have the plus one. I think we can do that in the safer one. It's not a huge number.
Yeah, I know that's what I mean. So just Pracchio and McCann inside the distance is plus 509. So it could be
That's
just those two.
yeah. That's a good prelims parlay there.
Yeah. I mean, do we get horribly greedy and throw Aspinall in it? By some sort of or Aspinall inside the distance?
I don't like his money line. I'm going him. If I'm thinking Aspinall, I'm just going round 1, 2 or inside the distance.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I actually don't think
It's
we
just
even
such a
looked at
big
inside.
number, dude. Minus 450.
It's minus 320 inside the distance.
That's crazy.
My
I'd go
model's been
round 1, 2.
oh, okay. That puts it plus 700 on the button, or plus 699 depending on how you round. So it'd be a little bit more aggressive, but if Tom Aspinall doesn't
Yeah.
win, I'm bankrupt as is. I have a 10-unit parlay to finishing with him on Saturday, so if he loses, I'm in shambles anyway.
Yeah.
What do you
All right.
think?
Well, then let's not
You want?
overexpose. Let's just go the 2 leg for the first one.
Okay, we'll go.
So,
So the safe parlay, I'll put it in on here on YouTube for everybody. The safe parlay is going to be Prachnio money line, um, Prachnio, if I could spell it correctly, and Molly inside the distance, and you combine those together, it's plus 509. So 5-1 payout, 2 outcomes, one of them not even passing through the judges. I feel pretty good about that one as well. So Bratz Neal money line, McCann inside the distance. Matty, fun one here. What
We
is
got to
your
do a
favorite
couple. We got to
long
do a
dart?
couple. We got to do two more parlays here. So many fights.
Let's do a fun one. Yeah, let's do a fun, like we can do
Yeah.
themes. Let's see.
Yeah. So I want
Do
to
you want to do a
go. I want
sub?
to do it. I want to do a decision lay here. You ready for it?
Okay. Wood.
I'm going. I'm going. Oh, I really love this. You ready for it?
Okay.
I'm going Belal Muhammad by decision.
Okay.
I'm going Nathaniel Wood by decision.
Oh my god, I love where this is going.
And then I'm going. Do we go Arnold Allen by decision at even money, or do we go Makayev decision? No.
So I
Arnold
like
Allen
popping that. Now this would be double dipping a little bit, but Prachnio decision. Oh no, you kind of lean.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Fuck, I don't want to bet against Giga though. It just sucks. Is there any other decision plays you like?
I'm taking a peek. I mean, this would balloon it into the stratosphere, but what do you think about our girl Alice Ardeline by decision plus 430? We both kind of like that one, dude.
Yeah, but you kind of sold me on
84 to 1. 84 to 1.
You kind of sold me on her finish though, so I want to stay away from that.
Okay.
What about the Jake Hadley fight?
No. Oh, how about this? What about Parkin decision?
Oh, yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, that's it. That's it, dude. That's it, dude. Parkin decision.
Yeah, that's
Muhammad Wood Parkin decision. I model approved.
You got that one for the? Can you type that one in? See what it is.
You bet. So
I love this play here. I love this play.
Yeah, this is gonna be. I'm gonna ticket this as well. And who's that? Parkin decision. So that's plus 3471. I'm pretty sure is the number. 30. Oh, I'm sorry. 3457 had a different number in month. Decision lay Muhammad Wood Parkin. I like that, Maddie, because we usually strike out with the submission doubles. Like Park fell off the card.
Oh man, I love that play, bro.
Yeah, that's insane, dude. I really like that one too. I'm gonna play it. Let's see.
I was like, for a second, I was like, who's Muhammad? Like, I just know him as Belal, you know?
Well, we have a Muhammad Makayev and we have a
Belal Muhammad Naimov. I'm like, who's Muhammad right now?
Yeah, it's the most common name in the
world. Belal remembered the decision. Nathaniel Wood and Mick Parkin. 100 pays 3,500. I fucking love that. I want to go. Are you against doing a submission lay and then a KO lay?
No, it's 304. By the way, my birthday is tomorrow. So Maddie, like for my birthday, we can have a couple more of these than usual. So and hopefully one of them hits as a nice birthday gift. Why don't we do a submission? I don't know how big it's going to be, but like I think we got to throw RoboCop in there, right?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So RoboCop by submission.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Manel Cop? But the Makayev sub number is just crazy, man.
I know it's only crazy.
Plus 450. We can leave that out.
See, how you feel about Makayev sub? I would want to throw Hadley sub in there.
Yeah.
I don't want to play Patty sub. Now, Model wants me to play Aspinall sub, but I have no idea if you're on board with me because you said you were leaning knockout.
It's just plus 470.
Yeah.
Maybe we just go 2 legs on the sub here. Let's just find one more.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking up and down. I'm not. I mean, if you like, hey, do we play our girl Alice submission?
I mean, we could just put Patty in there, bro.
I like knockout. Patty. I want to put Patty. I want to put Patty in the knockout lay if that's okay. What about Molly? Molly sub.
But we already have her, right? Yeah, we already have her.
Who cares? No. This is just a fun lay. Who cares? Like she's in the safe parlay.
I'm not willing to back Molly on the sub. Okay. I think she's gonna KO her.
Do we do it? Should we just do an inside the distance lay then with Molly? Oh, well, Patty.
What about Parsons?
I like Elliott.
Oh, that's right.
I thought we were more aligned than we kind of are. What about an inside the
Hmm.
distance lay with Alice, Patty, and then
All right,
we
yeah,
find a
yeah.
third?
Let's just go inside the distance. So leg
Okay.
one,
Okay.
we're going.
Alice.
Who?
The Alice Arderly, the girl from the first fight that I talked you into inside
Oh
the
god, our
distance.
parlay is gonna be torched on the first leg, on the first fight of the night.
Yeah. What about by the way, Patterson's sub was an option. It's -110. Do we lay round 1
That's what
instead?
I said. You like Elliot? You said you like Elliot.
Oh no, Patterson's facing Crosby, dude. Elliot Parsons. Sam
Oh, I thought you said
Patterson. Yeah, yeah.
Parsons. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I like Patterson
That's what
by
it
sub.
was. Yeah, yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Patterson.
Do you just want
Okay,
I
okay,
mean,
okay. All right. Patterson by sub minus
okay.
110.
Okay. Rodriguez
Um,
sub 6-1.
Robocop by sub 6-1.
That is plus 1200 together.
Dude, I feel like we throw Patty in, dude. And we take Patty KO and the other one. Who cares?
That's true. That's true. I mean, like,
You
because we
know?
love inside the distance there.
Put Patty by sub in there and see what that number's at. That's gonna be
Okay.
crazy.
Okay. It's 5-1. I will say my model thinks it's more likely sub than KO. So that is plus 79-18. So 79 to
Oh
1.
wow. Yeah,
Do you want to
yeah.
do it?
Throw that up
I'd
there.
be down.
Yeah,
I'd be down. Okay. Sub
100%,
special.
100%. Throw
Sub
that up on the
special
screen.
might be a donation, but we're taking
It
Sam
usually is,
Patterson.
but there's 3 fights that are projected to be sub
Yep.
since 20% of fights end by sub, and
Yeah.
there's 14 fights. So these have to be the 3 right here.
I'm playing Patty ITD, so I don't give a crap that we're taking the sub here. Who knows how it ends? 79-18. So our sub lay Sam Patterson,
Put
Rodriguez,
that one
Patty.
on. Can you put that one on the
I
screen?
did. Yeah. Brad's just got to throw
It
it.
says decision lay still on my end.
Didn't I swear to God, I just put it in YouTube chat.
Brad, can you see it? He can't see it. No, it's not in
Shoot.
there.
Here,
Yeah,
let me try again.
we'll post all of these after the show. I'll post them all too.
Oh, there it goes. It's good.
There it
It's kind
is.
of messed
Okay.
up. Sorry, I just copy pasted that in there, but there it is.
Yeah.
Sam Patterson, Rodriguez, Pimba, and then you want to do a KO lay?
Okay, yeah.
I'm mad you didn't let me put Aspinall in the sub lay. I love Aspinall by sub, dude. Front choke.
Fuck. I want Aspinall KO as the last leg, dude. I just love having him as the last leg
It's
there.
so bad. I mean, Aspinall KO minus 155 is such a bad price in my opinion, but that's okay.
That's just how Curtis Blades loses, and that's how Aspinall wins.
You know what I'm gonna do in my parlay? I'm gonna switch. I'm gonna put Aspinall sub, and I'm gonna do Pimblett KO.
Yeah.
And we'll see who ends up hitting.
All right. Well, let's look on the prelims. What KO sticks out to
Do you want to do Ardeline?
KO?
It's 7 plus 750. Hey, it'll probably be torched on the first leg. You're right. We shouldn't touch him. What about Manel Kopp?
Yeah.
You said you like the number for his KO plus 480. I know you like Makayev, but
I just don't trust him to get it. But
yep.
See, I would rather go Prochnow.
KO?
Yeah.
Didn't we throw him in the points sled? Did we not?
No,
okay.
We just have his money line.
What is it? It's plus 420. All right, fine. We'll take it.
I mean, it's not the greatest number in the world, but he's been close.
Yeah, we'll take it. It's kind of weird.
There's not a lot of. There's honestly not a ton of KO.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
In my opinion,
if you like CLD, that would be a KO, but I don't. Like,
yeah,
I think maybe we just leave it to the sub special. Just leave it sub decision, fun regular parlay.
I know. Oh, here's what I'm doing then.
Okay.
I want to put this one up on the screen.
Okay.
I told you about it earlier. I have to put it out there.
Okay.
The Molly and Patty round 1 parlay.
I'm down. The round 1 lay.
I just have the weirdest fucking feeling about this. Bobby Green has been hurt in so many fights in the first round. And, you know, if Molly comes out and starches this girl early. So Patty round 1, 6-1.
Yep.
And Molly round 1 plus 440. 100.
Wow, that's short, dude. That is short.
3,200. 3,200, bro.
3680.
32 to 1.
Yeah.
And that's any finish, any round 1 finish for both of them.
I will be playing.
Could you imagine like, this
I love it.
happening, it would be electric for
I
Molly and
love it.
Patty.
I love it. I love it. Round one, lay Patty teammates. Round one, squash matches. Well, Bobby
And
Green,
if you're
not a squash
feeling
match.
ballsy, you throw Tommy in there round 1 too.
Oh yeah, like you liked round
I
2
gotta
is the
see
only
what
reason. Yeah,
if you throw Aspinall in there too on round 1. I
it's
just
such
have to see real quick.
it's such a junk number though.
Oh,
It's like
it's ridiculous.
-110. Like I don't think I'd take it.
That's literally what it is.
It's a junk
It's
number.
off the board right now, but I think it's -110.
Yeah. So
But
we'll keep it. Maddie, that's
it
your
would
gut
basically
feel.
just double the number, right? If it's -110, it
Yeah.
would be nearly 70. It'd be 75 to 1, basically.
Yeah. Maddie, that to me, that is your birthday gift to me. I love that round one. I think it's so good. I think that shit's it.
Molly, Patty, and Tom, round 1, 75 to 1. I don't think I'm
Yeah.
gonna put I don't know.
I'm putting Aspinall in my sublay instead.
If
We'll
Molly
do
gets it
ultimate
done,
sub.
though, if Molly gets it done, that Patty fight's gonna be hype.
Yeah, absolutely. But Maddie, we've got 3 parlays in the till. We've done our work. We're almost 2 hours in. I love today's show. I think we were aligned on quite a bit. It's just kind of like picking sides, the Cop Makayev type of fight, but that was a great one. I'm pretty sure we got a show next week. I kind of have it. Oh yeah, it's the Sandhagen Nurmagomedov fight from Abu Dhabi. So that'll be a great one next week. Can't wait to talk that main event as well. Maddie, your card coming out on Friday, or parlay darts, maybe some of these ones as review coming out Saturday morning, right? Or Saturday at the end of the day?
Yes, correct.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I will have not only will I have a betting preview, but I will have a daily fantasy preview tomorrow on FanDuel Research, as well as I'll be uncovering the spread with Jim Sonis on the FanDuel Podcast Network, wherever you get your podcast. So some other bets I'll go over with him. So we'll go over that together. That's the new plan over on the FanDuel side of things for me. Appreciate you guys' time. This is a great show. I appreciate every single one of you for tuning in. This is honestly, Maddie and I might do this with no audience for real, just to like get our cards straightened out, things like that. The fact you guys come hang is awesome.
And by the way, we're considering doing this early in the week.
Yeah.
Even though we might not have all the prop numbers.
Yeah.
It's just we might start doing this on Tuesday. So we'll keep you guys posted.
Yeah.
But it's just better for more eyeballs, even after we stream, that can watch it throughout the week. So we'll keep you guys posted there. We might have to do some estimated numbers on some of the props if we do that, but we'll have to figure that out.
It could serve all of you well to have, like, we estimate what our lines, what we think they're going to be. Maybe we even throw it up on the screen and say, hey, like, this is what our projected line is. And then if it comes in really higher than that, you can go snag it right away, and rather than having to wait for Thursday night with us. So however we can serve you best, like, we're still making those decisions as we grow. We appreciate all of you guys tuning in here to Home of Fight, as well as Mattybetts YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. But until next week, I should say, best of luck. Hope all of your bets cash, and we will see you again soon.